Hello, good evening, and welcome to this web development internship. I'm Chetna, and I will be your mentor through this course. So it's really nice to see that so many of you have taken up this course on web development. It's a really good domain. I do agree that there are a lot of other technologies and domains out there which are equally interesting, but I absolutely love web development. Something about the web is really fascinating. I mean, the World Wide Web is everywhere, and everyone out there is using the World Wide Web. If not for the web, could we have connected today on this meeting and have this conversation over here? No. So, the web is something that's very powerful and capable. And the fact that we can do something, to contribute to it and involve and take part in it is just so satisfying. And so it's like a big accomplishment. I'm really looking forward to sharing all that I know, all that I've learned in this domain. And I hope that I make you all love web development just as much as I do, if not more. And I hope you're all very excited to start with this course. So now we can go in depth and look at what we are going to do today. So the agenda for today is that we'll first look into the structure of the internship, what all we'll be doing, and then start off the basics, what is web, how it works, and then we'll start off with HTML and how we can create web pages. Okay, so and throughout this course, if you have any doubts, please feel free to put it up in the chat section, or you can unmute yourself and ask anytime. So feel free to speak up and ask your doubts. Okay, so this internship is basically divided into two phases. The first phase is going to be the learning phase. So in this learning phase, which will span for 3 weeks, we'll learn 5 different languages, namely HTML, CSS, JavaScript, which is going to constitute the front-end development. Then we'll have the scripting language, PHP, which will connect the front end with the database, which is going to be handled by MySQL. And then in phase 2, you'll have the project work, where you'll be implementing all the concepts and skills that you've learned in phase 1 and complete the project. And I'll give you a problem statement and guide you through the process, but you have a week to complete the project work. Okay, so now with the structure of the internship clear, let's begin with our topic. So before we start learning, the languages like HTML and CSS, let's clarify some basic terminologies. So what is the World Wide Web, or what is web in general? The dictionary definition says that it is a collection of websites or web pages that's stored in servers and connected to local computers through internet. Now in this definition, we have come across words like web page, website, web server. What are all these? So a web page is just a fundamental building block of the web, the World Wide Web. So it's nothing but specific collection of information, okay, that is displayed to the user in a browser. Okay, so now we know what a web page is. Then a website is nothing but a collection of these web pages. And these web pages are usually related to each other in a website. After seeing this, we have browsers. So how exactly do we access these websites or web pages? That is done via the browser. So basically, it is an application for accessing a web page or a website on the World Wide Web. And all of us know there are so many browsers out there. We use them in our everyday life almost very regularly. Some common ones are like Chrome, you have Opera, you have Opera Mini, and Internet Explorer or Safari, and so on. So typically in a web browser, we basically type the URL. So a URL is a uniform resource locator. So it's nothing but an address to a specific page. Okay, so when we type that onto the browser, we get to view the page. But how exactly does it happen? By just typing the URL, how do we get the page? This is done with the help of a server. So a server is a special computer that is constantly connected to the internet and it hosts websites. So when we type in a URL onto the browser, the server, we in turn request the server for the web page. The server will then respond by sending the web pages to the client. So the client here is the browser. So the clients usually are not connected to the internet always, but a server is connected to the internet always. Okay, so now that we have a basic idea about this, let's go in depth as to how web actually works. So like I told, a browser, so when you search for a web page, your browser will be receiving the HTML and the CSS code and JavaScript code also, and it will interpret that and then display. It will create the web page that we usually see. So the web server that is hosting this site can be anywhere in the world. It can be anywhere. So to access and find this particular server, we use the help of a particular server called domain name system or a DNS server. I'll explain this with the help of an example. So let's consider we are staying in, say, somewhere in England, and we want to access the web page of the art gallery in France, Louvre Art Gallery. So we type in our browser the URL of that website. So it's www.louvre.france. So FR. Okay. So when you connect to the web, you do this with the help of an internet service provider. And then you type in this URL to your browser and you click enter and you search. So when your browser searches, it basically connects with the DNS, the domain name system server. Domain name system server is just like it's like a telephone book. It has the information about all the servers that are hosting websites. So when you connect with the DNS, DNS will return a IP address. So IP address is just a unique number. Every device that is there on the internet every device that is there has an IP address, a unique IP address. It's a 12-digit number that is unique, that uniquely identifies a particular device. So the DNS will return the IP address for that host name or the URL that we have typed in. So when our browser receives this IP address, it then connects with the web server that is hosting this website. And then the web server will in turn respond with the web page that we're requesting, the website that we're requesting. So if we are in England and Cambridge, and we're trying to access www.louvre.fr, then first our browser, which is in Cambridge, will connect with the DNS server in London. The DNS server in London will then return the IP address back to our browser, which is in Cambridge. With the help of this IP address, our browser will connect to the web server, which is going to be in Paris, because the website that we are searching for is a website from France. So the web server that's hosting this website is in Paris. So the web server will then return the web page that we're looking for. And like I told, the browser will interpret the code, that is the CSS and the HTML, CSS and JavaScript code, and then it will show us the website that we usually see. So that's basically what happens in the backend when we try to search for a page. Remember I told how web is so powerful and capable? This is one of the reasons. Because when we search a page, it takes us seconds before the page gets loaded. But in the backend, there's so much that's happening. It's such a complex and an intricate process that occurs that not many people are aware of or give importance to. But it is a must for the web page to load. So that's why I say web is a very, very powerful area and anything can happen with it. It is all the more reason that we learn it and we understand more about it. Okay, so now that we saw all that, we can step into what is web development. So web development is basically the process that can be used to create web pages, websites that are out there. So this process consists of different parts. So you have the front end development, and then you have a back end development, and then you have full stack, which involves all of them. Okay. So the front end basically includes the client side. So it deals with the look and the feel of the website and what you see. So basically what you see is a front end, hence the name. Back end is the part of the website that you can't see. But it handles a lot of important functionality, and all the logical part, and then data, everything that is required for the website to work and function properly. So both front end and back end are equally important. To explain this in a better way, I'll take another example. So think of a restaurant. So when you go to a restaurant, the dining area where you sit and you eat, that is going to be the front end. So so everything that the customer sees and experiences, like the interior decor, the seating arrangement, and the food that you're eating, all of that will be the front end. And then the back end will be the back portion of the restaurant, where the delivery and inventory are managed, or where the food is being cooked. So a lot of things happen behind the scenes that the customer is not aware of, but it in turn affects the experience and the joy of the end product, say like a delicious meal. So it affects that. So both front end and back end, although they are different, leaving the differences aside, both of them are very important functions that go into web development. Okay, so now that we have an idea of what web development is, we'll look into the first language that we'll be coming across in front end. Okay, front end development, which is going to be HTML. It is the most basic and fundamental language used to create web pages out there. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So the hypertext here basically means a text within a text. So a text that has a link within it is a hypertext. So when you click on a link in a website and it takes you to a different page, it just means that you've clicked a hyperlink or a hypertext. Okay. And then you have markup language. A markup language is just a computer language that is used to, apply layout or format a document. So it allows the users to create structural sections, paragraphs, headings, links, and much more for a website or a web page or a web application. Okay. But a markup language is not visible. You can only see the format that it creates, but the actual language or the commands that you use are not visible. Okay, so HTML is a standard markup language which is used for creating the web pages. Now a HTML document basically comprises of just elements. So an element basically is represented by tags. So you need these elements to create the web page, to format a web page. So what exactly are these tags? So tags are just containers. They tell you something about the information that lies between them. So an element basically has tags which represent it. So a tag's structure is shown here. You have an opening tag and then you have a closing tag. So this is the format for every tag that's out there. So it begins with a left angle bracket, and then you have the character. So the character here indicates some purpose that is achieved by the tag. And then you have the right angular bracket or the closing bracket. So this will be the opening tag, the structure of an opening tag. And then you have the closing tag. So in the closing tag, it is very similar to an opening tag. But the only difference is that you have a forward slash immediately after the left angle bracket. followed by the character, and then you have the right angle bracket. So an element, the term element is often interchangeably used with tags, but there's a very slight difference. Element is nothing but a opening tag along with a closing tag with the content between them. So the entire thing is an element, whereas tag is just the opening and the closing tag. And now there are two different types of elements that we should remember. You have the container elements and then you have empty elements. Container elements are those which have both the opening as well as the closing tag. And then empty elements are those which have only an opening tag. So the tag that is visible on this screen is a paragraph tag. We'll look into it in more detail coming up, but then just a gist is it's a paragraph tag. So a paragraph on a web page is basically defined using this tag. Okay, and this is a container tag because it has both opening and a closing tag. And an empty tag would be a break tag. So it would just have only the opening tag. It would not have a closing tag. We'll look into it in more detail later on. Okay, so now if elements and tags, the concepts of these is clear, then we'll move on to attributes. So what is an attribute? So if a tag is used to format a document, then this attribute adds extra information about the contents that is being formatted by the tag. Okay, so an attribute has two parts. You have the name and then you have a value. So the name of the attribute basically indicates what kind of extra information you are supplying. And then the value will just be that information. So in this case, we have the attribute name as lang, which stands for language. And then the value that's being passed by this attribute is English. ENUS here stands for English, US English. Okay. So you can see that the attribute name and the attribute value are separated by a equal to sign. And the attribute value is placed within double quotes. So some observations that have to be made here are that attribute names are always written in small letters and the attribute value must always be placed within double quotes. HTML5, which is the current version that we are using, does allow users to type the attribute name in capitals and also allows attribute values to be placed outside double quotes. That is, you don't need the double quotes, but it is not a good programming practice. And I would appreciate it. And I would request all of you that you follow the actual norms and rules. It needs to be in small letters and it should not have it should have double quotes here. Okay. And along with that, attributes are always located only in the opening tag. And this together will become an element. So you have the opening tag along with the attribute, which will be inside the opening tag. As you can see, the right angular brackets are closed here. And then this will be the content of the paragraph tag. So when you run this code in a HTML document, when you open the browser, the line paragraph in English will be visible. And then this is the closing p tag, the close tag. So together, the entire thing is an element and this is a container element, okay? Because you have an opening tag as well as the closing tag. Yeah. So after this, we'll have the structure of a HTML document. So now that we've seen what comprises or what constitutes a HTML document. So you have elements. So the entire HTML document is a text document, which just has elements and then the contents that should be displayed on a web page. Now we just do a basic HTML document. So like I told in my previous session, so we have a HTML tag. So each HTML document comprises of a starting and a closing HTML tag. So all the data that we're typing must be between the two HTML tags. So then we have a head. So each HTML document has three elements, main elements. So that's your head, and then your HTML element, your head element, and then your body element. So inside we'll have the title tag, which I told will add the title to your taskbar. I mean your title bar on your web page. So you can just say this is the title, closing title tag. Okay, and then afterwards we have the body tag. So the contents of the web page will be inside the body tag. So everything that is visible in a web screen will be placed inside the body tag. So now we went through some textual tags. We had first initially gone through the heading tag. And I told you there are 6 different levels of heading tag in HTML. So the main heading will be a H1 tag. So you can say this is the main heading. And then, so this makes the tag. So a heading tag has default font size that is given, which might change from different browsers, but it will make the text the boldest so that it's big enough and we can all see. So it's a main heading tag. And then you can have a paragraph or a textual tag, P tag, and you can type whatever. So this is a paragraph. And close your P tag. So this is a very simple HTML document. So I hope you've all reached this place and save your document and go back to your folder where you've saved it. In my case, since I have the web page already open, you can just run it. And when you run it, this is what you see. Refresh the page or go to the document and open it and you get this. So you can see we had used a H1 tag. So it is a big heading here and then you have a paragraph. Now we've seen there are different levels of heading tags. So you have a H2 tag and you can type hello here. So this will come as a subheading. So when I save this and then I refresh here, we can see the difference. So a H1 tag is much bigger than a H2 tag. So the size of the font is bigger. We can change the font size that is defaultly given by the H1 tag itself and the H2 tag. For that, we'll use CSS, which we'll see in our later classes. So this is basically a simple HTML program.